Well, the Former Troopers Association has been a long-standing organization, which started out as a C7, which is a social organization, and for years that's what it was. In fact, it was tagged like the good old boys club, just picnics, parties, that sort of thing. And then when I got on about 16 years ago, they were concerned a nonprofit foundation. So what we did was under President Salmaggio, we brought in lawyers and accountants and some specialists, and we broke the organization into three entities. One was the C7, which already existed. We created the Heritage Foundation, which is a C3, and it's called the New Jersey Former Troopers Heritage Foundation. And under that, we have a for-profit that did all the logo merchandise. So this way, we were paying the correct taxes. We were paying the sales tax and the other relative taxes. We're actually getting the foundation. We were able to raise money in different ways because a C7, which is a social organization, can't really raise that amount of money. So fortunately, we took on that columbarium in 2020. We would have never been able to do that if we didn't have a foundation like we do now, which is a C3. And like I said, we had
the columbarium is a wonderful project, and I wanted you to kind of discuss that. And I know just recently, Thomas's Ricky, there was a big ceremony there.
There was. To me, that day was, even though we actually brought in a lot of the people that did it, contractors and that sort of thing, to dedicate it last year. We showcased it when his Ricky was interred there on the 16th of this month. His family from Connecticut, his wife, his children. It was interesting because a lot of union people were there all over the country, and we actually were able to showcase the new memorial courtyard in Columbarium. Project because we had 200 people there.
Nice.
So it was a great project, but we weren't able to do that, John, if we didn't have the Heritage Foundation. So any of the donations come in, we can donate it out and that sort of thing. We do, like I said, we do scholarships to the children, grandchildren of troopers, active and retired and deceased. We do the Good of the Order, Widows Fund. We help the widows. We help as many people as we can. The organization is basically, if you look at the business plan, it's only maybe 11 years old. Remember, you go from a social organization, old timers, blue crab claws at the picnic, what kind of beer are you going to have, to a business plan like this, to what we're doing today. So, in all honesty, we're only basically 11 years old, and we've done a lot in the first 11 years. I mean, the Do Take Gun is the project that we did, at the headquarters, was amazing. And we did it during COVID. And I got to thank all the contractors that donated and everybody else that donated funds and that sort of thing. The columbarium from troopers that are retired and their spouses. So it's a great project. It's a legacy for all retired troopers. The way we have it set up, we were concerned about perpetual care, which won't be a problem if the way we set it all up. And it's great. I mean, how many, when you go to cemeteries last for so long, you know what I mean? And meaning that when anymore. But this is a place where 365 days a year, 24/7, this columbarium is being is secure, being watched over at headquarters, and it's a legacy for a lot of troopers and their spouses. And I think it's the only one in the country. We're very proud of it. George and I and the board are very proud of it. George Wren, and it'll go on forever. The colonel made a couple speeches, and like he said, he's honored that we've entrusted. The families have been trusted the remains of troopers and their wives, retired troopers and their spouses, with the New Jersey State Police. And when anytime they hold an internment or an event there, it's interesting because the old time troopers are looking over it, and actually the Wall of Honor, which is behind it, is there with Schwarzkopf, and you have the troopers killed in the line of duty, and you also have the retired troopers and their spouses, being there in spirit, and it's a great project. It is.
It is the whole campus there. Is wonderful because then you got the excuse me. Then you have the museum and learning center inside,
Yes.
which is a nice testament to the history of the state police and some major investigations and the artifacts and even the cabin itself is I guess they consider that part of the museum. Am I correct with that? Because it's got a lot of artifacts in there as well, old cars, motorcycles.
The thing of it is that it does, which you know better than anybody. I mean, you've written enough books on the history of the state police, but that area, that whole courtyard, and that, like you said, campus there. It had a museum and learning center, which was buried into a lot of hills and bad landscaping and pavers that were broken, and the memorial garden, which had 84, ashes in it that was falling apart. The transition now, it basically is the foundation for what that campus is. So now everything looks better. In other words, when you walk in, it's bright. The flags are flying over the top. The Wall of Honor's there. The statue from Schwarzkopf is there. The statue that John Pilata dedicated years ago was, Ron's trooper standing there guarding the entire courtyard. You got Schwarzkopf looking over the Wall of Honor. I mean,
you mentioned something about John Pilata dedicating a statue. It froze up a little bit. What statue was that?
Years ago, many years ago, he brought the statue and it was erected there. And it was, as you walked in, it was to the left. It was, it was surrounded by some pavers. It was on a pedestal, and it was very nice, But when we redid it over, when you're coming up Trooper Drive and the sun is shining on the courtyard, it's coming right off the statue. So we re-erected it there, and it was perfect spot for it. And now with the Schwarzkopf statue, the entrance to the museum, he's looking over the courtyard too. The trooper is looking over, guarding the courtyard, and Schwarzkopf is looking over the courtyard. So it just amazing, transition from what it was.
The symbolism there is great. You had mentioned something about when you joined the organization, how your father died early, and that's part of the connection that you have to the organization and why you are still active and contributing back.
Yeah, I mean, I was married with a young baby, and my wife of now 51 years. Father passed away in my first year of college, and I had to quit school to take over the family business, and then I never got started again. And then after being married, I went and worked as a teamster, loading trucks in Booton, and one night they said they were giving a state police test, and I knew them because my father used to tow for the Netcong State Police Barracks, and went and took the test, and it all began there. So if it wasn't for the state police, I don't think I would be where I am today. It taught me a lot of things. I mean, my father taught me the most, but in the short, 18 years that I had him, but the state police taught me a lot. I got, introduced to a lot of people, and it was just a great, it's a great organization, and it gave me what I needed to get through life. I'll be 70 years old this year, and I'm giving back because they gave my family a life that it never would have had if I would just continue loading trucks.
You had mentioned, we were talking about how you guys are still actively, the FTA and Heritage Foundation are still actively pursuing these endeavors, not only to support troopers in retirement, but the organization itself and the legacy, as you spoke about. And you had mentioned about the windfall provision with Social Security and how you guys were actually helped out a few troops with regards to trying to recover some of that.
Well, we're still working on that. I mean, George Wren is the one, and I think I told you in the initial interview, George Wren is the one that actually researched everything. He's you know, unbelievable when it comes to research, George. I mean, he wrote a book too, like you. But bottom line is when he gets on his hands on something, he's going to get to the bottom of it. So the sticking point with the windfall elimination, and I see a lot of it on social media, and I don't comment. What I do is I just see what they're saying out there. There are people all over the country, police officers, troopers specifically, that are filing appeals. And the regional offices are now handling it's not at every independent office of Social Security, it's the regional offices, like ours is Philadelphia. And their sticking point is this: they're saying that you must receive a pension prior to 1986, a pension payment. And we're saying the way the law reads, the windfall elimination law reads, is that you have to be eligible for a pension prior to 1986. And we are, according to our pension system, 10 years, we are eligible to vest our pension and invest it for till we're 55. So the bottom line is that that's the sticking point right now. And they're actively researching, the Social Security Administration. Their standard was you needed to get a pension payment. And we're saying, no, the law says we had to be eligible for a pension, which we were. So, and by the way, the appeal down in Florida, the appellate division appeal that was down here, that's why one of our troopers, our lieutenants, ended up winning that back and with back pay. So they're in the process right now of reviewing that. And some people are getting letters from another regional office saying, well, you're not entitled to it. We want to know when you got your first pension payment. I just read it this morning. That's inaccurate. They haven't made a decision yet. And we had gotten an email from one of the individuals that was on the call with George and I. And they said, give us a couple of weeks. We're not ready to come out with a decision. So that's the sticking point. They're saying that we need to get a payment before the 10 years, 1986, and we're saying no, we had to be eligible for a pension, and we have a 10-year eligibility for a pension that we can vest or pull a whole lump sum out, one of the two.
Interesting, because you always hear about windfall, and you don't really start thinking about it until you start getting closer to that,
right?
To that
right.
age.
And by the way, for this purpose of the interview, it includes if we do win and we do get a positive decision from them, it includes everyone, the 91st class prior. Anybody from the 92nd class forward still they're still going to be affected by the windfall elimination provision. There's legislation out there right now. I just read it this morning again. So there's two ways to go: repeal the legislation, or the 91st class prior, once this goes along with the appeal that was done in Florida in the 11th Circuit. So, I mean, we're fighting it. The FTA has taken on a different role, and we're fighting it. But it takes a long time. And I told you the last time when we talked, we need members. Guys really got to know, the active members need to know that the FTA is a foundation. They should need to get their arms around it. They need to join us and for what we do, because, we're not going to be here forever, George and I, so we need new active blood in the organization.
Yeah, agreed. And like I said, I don't know. Has it always been that way, where present day troopers can be members of the FTA?
They can. I'm not even asking for president. No, I'm sorry. Let me answer that first question. We made it so active troopers can belong to the FTA. However, what I'm saying right now is troopers that retire, all right, that weren't on the pass. I mean, on the pass list where we were living in the barracks, they really need to join. Guys that are retiring today are not joining. The active members can join, but we have a lot of retirees out there that retired over the last 10 years and are not members.
Oh, wow. And what's your engagement campaign to reach out to them? Because if they're not joining, they're probably likely not on social media, so you can't touch them that way. What's the outreach program?
Well, when they retire, we actually let them know they're eligible to join the FTA, exit interview type of things. They can do it through a lot of them on social media. Today, they're all on social media. I mean, we even get on the state police website too. You know what I mean? So there's some of these guys are retiring. They don't want any part of it. They're leaving with bad taste in their mouth. I'm done. I'm finished. When I left the exit interview, I took the application, signed it, and I've been a member ever since. You know, but again, I have to tell you, the FTA had a history of being a good old boys club. That was it. You know, you go to parties, you go to picnics, that sort of thing. Whole different animal today. Whole different animal. We're in there kicking and punching and that sort of thing. Just the columbarium in itself has done great things for retired troopers and troopers that have passed. I mean, today I just got remember Joe Lazara? He was the instructor in the academy.
The name sounds familiar, but I'm not.
He was one of my instructors in the academy. Now, Billy Trump has got the deceased trooper reporting. He started something. Joe, when he had his first grandchild, he moved to California. He just passed away in the last couple of weeks in California. So what we do today is we contact the California Highway Patrol, and we ask for their members to go out there and represent. So we do unless you join, you go on the website, or you go into the private area. I mean, we also now have 10,000 members in our social media run by Al Delafab, our Facebook page. It's got over 10,000 people on it. And when Al took it over, I think we only had about 20 some hundred, 3,500, something like that.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that's...
So this is new, John. This is new. What we do is new. The scholarship program went from $13,000 a year to almost $30,000 a year. So, I mean, we built the organization with the directors that we have today, and Sal Maggio, myself, and George Wren, and we built it from about 15 years ago with a foundation to take it where it is today. And we can go in different directions. What I need is people to come on, like Heidi Scripture, like Al Delafab, like Pat Riley, who's the vice president now. They're going to take over. I'm the chairman of the Heritage Foundation now, and we have a lot of significant members on our board. Our first golf outing, I've heard them talk about a golf outing since I've been on. That was 16 years ago. No one ever did it. I moved over to Heritage Foundation from being the president, and we're having one September 12th at Trump National in Bedminster.
Nice.
18 foursomes, maybe 20, and I only have 2 or 3 left, and I just started it.
Wow.
So wow. I could say this: the FTA, the Former Troopers Association, they're not a union. Okay, we have a lot more members than most of our unions. And I can tell you right now, we stand tall to tall with the union presidents. They respect us. We go to the wall with them, and they respect us. We respect them, and they understand. Like I said, I was the first FTA president that had interacted with the unions. We were more of a social organization. They could care less.
Yeah.
Someone's got to represent. We don't have a union for retired members, but somebody's got to represent us, and that was the problem. We don't want to hear about what you're having at the picnic. We don't want to hear about that. We want to hear about our COLA. We want to hear about our WEP. We want to hear about HR 218, the gun laws. We want to hear about the stuff that's affecting us today. That's what we want to hear about. And no one's representing us. So we took a social organization and gave the troopers what we wanted. But the problem is that the retirees have to come, halfway. They got to meet us.
Yeah. Agreed on that.
Agreed
on that. And hopefully this will at least help educate those people that are less informed, myself included, on everything that you guys do.
I hope so.
Yeah. So anyway, I think
there's still things out there, John. There's, when we uncovered a lot of the things that were going on at the FTA, and I got to give George again, I keep giving him credit, accolades. He can research anything. There's still things on the table that need to be done. And I've been working on them for years. There's still holdouts out there that need to look at things the right way of doing things. If we didn't do it the right way, we would not be able to be where we are today, shoulder to shoulder with the unions, shoulder to shoulder with the Division of State Police and the columbarium.
Yeah.
And years, or the last 7-8 years, we cemented the former troopers, the retired guys, still involved in the state police, still there. They're there forever. The legacy is there. And that's what we accomplished in the last 15, 16 years.
Yeah, and that's a good legacy, not only for the organization, but for the FTA.
Yeah.
What you've done. And I mean, so it's division headquarters, even before that stuff, was always had that aura about it. And that's what's unique about our organization. I remember, as you do, taking C20 in the gym, and you can look at old folders from the 1920s, and their troopers are in the same gym, with the same brick wall and windows, oval windows in the background, that we were. And so it's kind of like sacred ground for the Jersey Trooper Division headquarters.
Did I speak about the ceremonial unit that's going on?
Well, why don't you talk about it a little bit? Because I think that's reasonably, if it's not new, it's worthy of talking about once again.
Well, Sean Kilcum is the deputy superintendent. He's old school. I think his grandfather was a 3-digit badge number. And we went back to back when we built the columbarium. He was the contact point for the colonel at the time. But the thing of it is that we knew that courtyard, or that campus had to be the focal point. And they just recently formed a ceremonial unit. And that's going to be based out of the campus. It's going to be a lieutenant, SFC, a couple sergeants, or whatever, and they're going to handle the animals that are outside. Anything that's going to have the horses. It's going to have many, many things that are going on. And basically, when we built this courtyard, it basically gave them the basis for the ceremonial unit. So everything will go through the ceremonial unit, no matter what they do. If they're going to have some, like the internment, it was all set up by the ceremonial unit for Ricky, and that's how it goes. So it's new, it's there. It just went together. In fact, I think there's some selection process going on right now to bring in some troopers all over the state. They called me up. They said, we need some boots and breeches. Well, we'll help them obtain that. They call us up with many different things. They wanted plaques recently, 2 days ago. They need a plaque to go to the funerals, an ABC troop, okay? New plaques. It says, fallen trooper, state police, FTA. And, we do that anyway for our retired guys that pass away. So we just gave them 8. We just have made 8x8 plaques, with stands that they could, display at funerals statewide. So we're back to back with the ceremonial unit and the division. And that's the reason why we do what we do.
Yeah. And
it's a great way to be.
Yeah, agreed. And I recall in one of my books where Herman Glore, fallen trooper, his grave went unmarked for years. And in one of the files, I found an FTA letter to the family saying, listen, it was like 60 something years in an unmarked grave, and the FTA made sure he had a tombstone. So a lot of those things troops don't realize, and that was when back in the day when you guys weren't as active as you are now.
Right.
So there's a lot of good there, and
Any
go ahead.
No, anything we do now, it was my thought process and my opinion that even more than the unions, we are back to back. You know, the old cliche when we were in the academy, you go back to back in a bar fight. Well, back to back here with retired troopers. I mean, they use young retired troopers to do 944. Okay, they hire them back under the 944 program. So to keep the history alive of the New Jersey State Police, you need a former troopers association, not for just parties, to keep the history and the legacy moving on.